The Re'im, unraveling the Bible's mysterious unicorn. Have you ever heard of the Re'im? If you've spent time reading the Old Testament, you might have come across this name and wondered, what exactly is this creature? Is it a wild ox? A rhinoceros? Or maybe, just maybe, the Bible's version of a unicorn? Today, we're diving deep into the scriptures to uncover the mystery of the Re'im, a symbol of untamable strength and divine power. The word Re'im appears 9 times in the Hebrew Bible, and its translation has been a source of debate for centuries. When the Hebrew scriptures were first translated into Greek, the translators used the word monokiros, which means one-horned. This is where the unicorn connection first began. Later, the Latin Vulgate used unicornus, solidifying this image in Western culture. However, most modern translations opt for wild ox, which likely refers to a massive, powerful ancestor of modern cattle that roamed the Middle East until it went extinct in the 17th century. Let's look at the verses themselves. In Numbers 23:22, it says, God brought them out of Egypt. He hath as it were the strength of a Re'im. This verse immediately establishes the Re'im as a symbol of immense power, directly linked to God's own strength. In delivering Israel, it's not just any animal. It represents a force so great it can liberate an entire nation from bondage. This isn't about physical might alone, but the unstoppable power of divine will. The theme continues in Numbers 24:8. God brought him forth out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a Re'im. He shall eat up the nations, his enemies, and shall break their bones, and pierce them through with his arrows. Here, the Re'im's strength is depicted as destructive and overwhelming against God's enemies. The imagery is fierce and uncompromising. It portrays a creature that doesn't who's defend. It dominates. This tells us that the Re'im symbolizes a power that is not to be trifled with, a strength that can crush opposition completely. So, is it a wild ox or a unicorn? The auroch fits the description of immense strength. These animals were notoriously aggressive and impossible to domesticate, which aligns perfectly with other biblical descriptions of the Re'im. But what about the single horn? Deuteronomy 33:17 gives us a fascinating clue. In Moses' blessing over the tribe of Joseph, he says his glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of a Re'im. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth. Notice the plural horns. This verse strongly suggests a 2-horned animal, making the wild ox or auroch a much more likely candidate than a single-horned unicorn. However, the poetry of the Bible is complex. Some scholars suggest the horns could be a figure of speech, or that the singular horn idea from the Greek translation was so powerful it stuck. The book of Job provides one of the most vivid descriptions of the Re'im's nature. In chapter 39, God challenges Job, asking, Will the Re'im be willing to serve thee, or to abide by thy crib? Canst thou bind the Re'im with his band in the furrow? Or will he harrow the valleys after thee? Wilt thou trust him, because his strength is great? Or wilt thou leave thy labor to him? The answer to all these questions is a resounding no. The Re'im is untamable. It cannot be domesticated or forced to do humanity's bidding. It represents pure, wild, sovereign freedom and power. This is a key aspect of its symbolism. It's a creature that answers to no one but its creator. This theme of untamable strength is what makes the Re'im such a powerful metaphor for God. Human beings try to control everything: the land, the animals, even each other. But the Re'im stands as a reminder that there are forces in the universe far beyond our control. Its wildness mirrors the sovereign nature of God, who cannot be put in a box, manipulated, or understood through our limited human frameworks. Let's turn to the Psalms, where the Re'im appears in moments of both terror and triumph. In Psalm 22:21, a cry of desperation, David pleads, Save me from the lioness' mouth, for thou hast heard me from the horns of the Re'im. Here, the horns represent a deadly, terrifying threat from which only God can deliver. It's a symbol of mortal danger, the kind of overwhelming force that makes a person feel completely helpless. The Re'im embodies the fearsome challenges we face in life. But then, in Psalm 92:10, the tone shifts completely. The psalmist declares in praise, But my horn shalt thou exult like the horn of a reem. I shall be anointed with fresh oil. In this context, the reem's horn is a symbol of exaltation, victory, and divine blessing. To have your horn lifted up like a reem means to be given incredible strength, dignity, and power by God. It has a promise that the same force that can be terrifying when against you is empowering when it is with you. Psalm 29:6 even paints a picture of the reem's youthful energy. Hemekethum, also to skip like a calf. Lebanon and Syrian like a young reem. This shows the creature not just as a brutal force, but as something filled with vibrant, untamed life. It connects its power to the majesty of nature itself, with mountains skipping and shaking in the presence of God's voice. Finally, in Isaiah 34:7, the reem is mentioned in a prophecy of judgment. And the reem shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. Here, in a vision of divine wrath, the reem symbolizes the most powerful elements of the world being brought low under God's judgment. Even the strongest and most untamable creatures are subject to his ultimate authority. So what is the lesson of the reem for us today? The reem represents a paradox of power. It is a symbol of terrifying, destructive force, but also of triumphant, God-given strength. It is wild, untamable, and free, a reminder that we are not in control of everything. This creature challenges our desire for domestication and predictability. It asks us to confront the wild, untamed aspects of our world, and of God himself. The main lesson here is about surrender and trust. Like Job, we are asked, will we trust in a power that is far greater than our own, a power we cannot tame or control? The reem symbolizes the raw strength of God. When we stand in opposition to him, that strength can feel like the horns of a wild beast, threatening to destroy us. But when we align ourselves with his will, that same strength becomes our own. Our horn is exalted, and we are empowered to overcome the challenges in our lives. The reem teaches us humility. We are not the masters of the universe. There are forces, both natural and spiritual, that are beyond our comprehension and control. Instead of trying to bind the reem, we are called to stand in awe of it, recognizing it as a reflection of our Creator's magnificent and untamable power. In our lives, we often try to tame our circumstances, our emotions, even our faith, fitting it into a neat, manageable box. But true faith requires us to embrace the wildness of God, to trust in his sovereign power even when it feels unpredictable or even frightening. Are you trying to tame the untamable in your own life? Are you relying on your own strength to bind the challenges you face? Perhaps the lesson of the reem is to let go, to surrender to a higher power, to trust that the same God who has the strength of a reem can either save you from its horns or lift your own horn up in victory. The mystery of whether the reem was a wild ox or a unicorn might never be fully solved, but its symbolic meaning is crystal clear. It is a testament to a power that is wild, sovereign, and absolute. It is a call to respect the untamable nature of God and to find our true strength not in controlling our world, but in surrendering to the one who created it. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the biblical world. If you found this exploration of the reem insightful, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the symbols and stories of the Bible. Let us know in the comments what you think the reem represents to you. God bless you.